If everyone forgets CeCe Watts, I will not forget her. Donald Martinez will not. True Crime Stories HD will not. A 3-year-old girl, a house that looked like every other house on the street, and a secret so dark it would end up in true crime documentaries for years to come. Her name was Celeste CeCe Watts. I still can't say that name without feeling something in my chest. Most people only know her from the headlines. Today, that changes. Today, we give her back her story. Before we go any further, I want us to take a second. Not for the case, not for the trial, for CeCe, for her big sister Bella, for the baby she never got to meet. If you believe in prayer, drop one in the comments right now. It doesn't have to be fancy. Rest easy, CeCe and Bella is enough. Let's fill this comment section with love for 2 little girls who never got the chance to grow up. I'm Donald Martinez. I've spent years covering cases like this one for True Crime Stories HD, and I won't pretend every story is easy to sit with. This one isn't. But somebody has to tell it right, with respect, not just for the shock value. Chris Watts is serving a life sentence for what he did to his family. No parole, no second chance. He said publicly through prison letters that he's found peace and that he believes he's been forgiven by God. That's a lot to sit with. A man asking for forgiveness after taking away 3 lives and an unborn child? So I'll ask you directly, is a life sentence justice for what happened to this family? And should a man like that ever be forgiven, even by God, even by strangers online? Type your honest answer below. I read every single one of them. And before we keep going, tell me where in the world you're watching from tonight. It's 2026, and this story still reaches people everywhere. I want to see it. Whew, okay. Let's step back from all of that for a moment, because before CeCe Watts was ever a name in a headline, she was just a little girl, a daughter, a little sister, a granddaughter, a kid who laughed constantly, sprinted through the house like she owned it, and lit up every room she walked into.
I'll do it again. Can I see?
Show mommy.
Do it to mommy. You're so cute, Bella. What kind of princess are you? Bella, what's your name? Bella. Bella, what kind of princess are you? CeCe, look at your hair.
Good morning, Princess CeCe.
What's your name?
Today isn't about theories or courtroom drama. Today is about the life she actually lived, her family, her milestones, her personality, the home videos that still exist. Let's remember her as a child first, not a case file. Back in 2015, Chris and Shanann Watts were already parents to 1 little girl, Bella, and getting ready to welcome a second baby into the family. Like most expectant parents, they posted updates, shared the excitement, kept friends and family in the loop as the due date got closer. The photos from that stretch of time show a couple looking forward to becoming a family of 4. Money was tight for them around then. That part's well documented too. But even with financial stress in the background, the pictures from this period are hopeful ones. A family getting ready to grow. On July 17, 2015, Celeste Catherine Watts came into the world. Within days, practically everyone was calling her CeCe. Her parents welcomed her home, and so did her big sister Bella, who was barely more than a toddler herself at the time. The earliest family pictures show all the usual newborn stuff: sleeping in her crib, being passed around at family gatherings, bundled up for her first holidays. And like basically every baby, CeCe hit her milestones fast. Her first real smile, sitting up on her own, crawling around the living room, and eventually those wobbly first steps. Once CeCe hit toddlerhood, one thing became obvious in almost every clip her family ever posted. This kid had energy to spare. She barely sat still. She climbed things she probably shouldn't have. She cracked up during games. She threw herself into whatever activity was happening around her. People who followed Shanann's page often pointed out how different the two girls were. Bella tended to be the careful, quieter one. CeCe, bold, fearless, always moving. Neither way of being a kid is better. They're just different. Honestly, together, they balanced each other out perfectly. Bella and CeCe show up together in tons of the family's home videos, playing with toys, blowing out birthday candles, dancing around the living room, celebrating holidays side by side. Being the oldest, Bella would sometimes take the lead during playtime, and CeCe, true to form, would tag along right behind her, wanting in on whatever Bella was doing. Sharing toys, cracking each other up, just being sisters. Those small, unremarkable moments are exactly what's preserved in the family's old videos, and honestly, they're basically the only thing left behind. Like a lot of young families, the Watts household went all in on holidays. Costumes, decorations, the whole production. Halloween meant costumes. Christmas meant presents and excited mornings. Birthdays meant cake, balloons, and everyone gathered around. Whether they were home or visiting relatives, these traditions ended up baked into the visual timeline of CeCe's early years. By 2, then 3 years old, CeCe turned into a genuinely independent little kid. Videos from this stretch show her playing outside, dancing, splashing around in water, chatting confidently with whoever was nearby. Her face was constantly doing something, reacting, laughing, reacting again, which gives a lot of these clips this feeling of pure, unscripted spontaneity. These moments felt like nothing special back then. Now, they're basically the only window we have into the happy side of a very short life. From what's publicly known, CeCe dealt with a few medical issues early on, including treatment for a narrowing in her esophagus that she was born with. Later, she had her ear tube surgery and had her adenoids removed. Like most kids, she also had the usual run of pediatrician visits and the occasional bug going around. Her actual medical records are private, and they should stay that way, so it's worth being careful here to stick to what's actually confirmed rather than repeating rumors. Every family piles up little moments that feel throwaway at the time. A candle on a cake, a dance in the living room, an afternoon at the park. For CeCe, those are exactly the moments that now make up her public legacy. A girl bursting with personality, captured one ordinary afternoon at a time. Part of the reason so many people ended up recognizing CeCe at all is because her family posted the everyday stuff online, not just the polished portraits. Morning routines, playtime in the living room, trying to help with chores, sprinting from room to room with what seemed like an unlimited battery. That's most of what's left of her now.
Like a lot of 3-year-olds, she seemed curious about literally everything. A toy, the family dog, a snack, chasing her sister around the house. Kids that age learn by moving, and CeCe leaned all the way into that. Sitting still never lasted long. Play is basically how toddlers process the world, and the home videos back this up constantly. Sometimes it was dolls, sometimes a play kitchen or stuffed animals, or just running around outside. She clearly preferred games that involved actual movement over anything that meant sitting in one spot. Water play shows up a lot too. Splash pads, pools, whatever was available, she jumped in every time. And her laugh? Contagious. It got everyone else laughing too. Even with such different personalities, Bella and CeCe were together constantly. Less than 2 years apart in age meant they shared almost everything. Birthdays, daycare, games at home, family trips. In the videos, Bella often comes across as the patient, nurturing older sister. CeCe, meanwhile, was determined to keep up no matter what, running faster, climbing higher, whatever it took. Sibling relationships at that age are equal parts teamwork and squabbling, and these two definitely had both. But what got recorded, more often than not, was them laughing, dancing, or exploring side by side. For little kids, holidays tend to become some of the strongest early memories, and the CeCe family has plenty of photographic proof of that. Christmas mornings full of wrapped gifts, Halloween costumes and trick-or-treating, birthdays with cake, candles, balloons, and a room full of smiling relatives, Easter with matching outfits and egg hunts. Nothing unusual here, just the same traditions countless families across the country share every year. The Watts family traveled now and then, sometimes for family visits, sometimes tied to Shanann's work. Public photos show trips to North Carolina, where Shanann's side of the family lived, plus a few work-related getaways. Traveling with two toddlers is never exactly relaxing, but the pictures show plenty of joy anyway. Beaches, parks, restaurants, family get-togethers. CeCe usually shows up in these looking curious and full of energy, exploring wherever they landed. These are small moments that could have easily been forgotten. Instead, they got preserved. Birthdays marked real turning points in CeCe's short life. Her first birthday was the shift from infant to toddler. Her second showed just how active and confident she'd already become. By her third birthday, in July 2018, she was more independent than ever. Balloons, decorations, cake, and the people who loved her all around. Like most kids her age, birthdays meant gifts, attention, and pure excitement. When people look back on kids who were lost too soon, it's usually the simplest memories that hit hardest. A laugh, a smile, a silly face, a game with a sibling. Those nothing moments end up meaning everything because they're what actually shows who someone was. With CeCe, the family's photos and clips reveal a kid who approached every single day with enthusiasm. No recording can capture a whole person, but these glimpses explain exactly why the people who knew her describe her as fearless, funny, and full of life. Right around age 3, kids start asserting real independence, developing preferences, copying the adults around them, speaking up for themselves more.
From what's publicly available, CeCe seemed totally comfortable engaging with family, trying new things, and diving into activities without much hesitation. That kind of confidence is just normal development, but watching it now is a reminder of how fast those early years actually move. Every photo is basically a tiny story. A birthday candle means celebration. A vacation photo means excitement. A candid shot of two sisters mid-laugh captures something that will never happen in exactly that way again. For CeCe, hundreds of shared photos now function as a kind of visual diary. Her growth, her changing hairstyles, every holiday, every ordinary afternoon nobody thought twice about at the time. By the summer of 2018, CeCe had just turned 3 and had spent time with relatives in North Carolina before heading back to Colorado. That summer looked like summer does for a lot of young families. CeCe, Bella, and their mom flew out to North Carolina for a few weeks with relatives. For little kids, extended time with grandparents and cousins is usually the best part of the whole year. Photos from that trip show CeCe outside, at family gatherings, spending time with relatives she didn't get to see often. Summer's slower pace meant more family time, more backyard play, more shared meals, more casual pictures of everyday life. Looking back now, those ordinary snapshots carry a lot more weight than anyone intended at the time. On July 17, 2018, CeCe turned 3. 3-year-olds are changing fast, longer sentences, bigger imaginations, endless questions, constant copying of the adults around them. The birthday photos show balloons, cake, decorations, family gathered to celebrate another year. It wasn't a big, extravagant party. It didn't need to be. It mattered simply because it marked another year for a little girl surrounded by people who loved her. For most families, birthdays turn into cherished memories over time. For CeCe's family, this particular set of photos would end up meaning something far heavier than anyone expected.
All summer, CeCe just kept doing what kids her age naturally do. She played, she explored, she laughed. Indoors or outside, she wanted to stay moving. The North Carolina photos captured time with grandparents, neighborhood get-togethers, lazy summer afternoons. The public only ever sees a slice of it, but that slice reflects the normal rhythm of a family just living life. Kids don't think about preserving memories, they just live inside the moment. It's the adults holding the camera who don't realize at the time that they're building a keepsake. Toward the end of summer, the family headed back to Colorado. Life picked up its usual pace, school on the horizon, routines resuming. The content the family shared during this stretch reflects the same transition every family goes through at summer's end. Errands, appointments, plans for the months ahead. Nothing about any of it hinted at what was coming. Kids experience life completely differently from adults. No careers, no finances, no long-term planning weighing on them. Their world revolves around the small stuff, a favorite toy, a favorite snack, a favorite blanket, a bedtime story, a game with a sibling, a hug from mom or dad.
The public videos of CeCe are full of exactly this kind of thing. Watching them now is a reminder that childhood is really just thousands of tiny moments stacked on top of each other. None of this footage was ever meant to become historical record. It was made for the same reason millions of parents film their kids, just to hold on to the memory. Because of that, what's captured feels real, not staged. A laugh, a dance, a candle being blown out, running through the house, playing in the yard. These clips are exactly why so many people remember CeCe as an energetic little girl first, and only secondly as a name tied to a criminal case. When a tragedy gets national attention, it's easy for the actual victims to get buried under investigation updates and courtroom headlines. But kids deserve better than that. For CeCe, that means remembering a girl who loved family celebrations, adored her sister, explored everything with curiosity, and filled ordinary days with laughter and constant motion. None of this erases what happened, it just puts the focus back where it belongs, on the life that came before it. In the days leading up to August 13, 2018, the family went about normal life, documented, like always, through photos and social posts. One of the last known outings was a birthday party on August 12th. The photos show kids playing, families gathered together. Nothing in those pictures suggested they'd become some of the very last public images of CeCe. They're a hard reminder that the most ordinary moments are often the ones we end up treasuring the most. CeCe Watts isn't only defined by the case that made her family's name known around the world. She's also defined by 3 years of birthdays, holidays, laughter, and the small everyday stuff that childhood is actually made of. A 3-year-old doesn't leave letters or achievements the way adults do. She leaves memories. For CeCe, that means family photos, home videos, birthday parties, holiday traditions, and the stories people who knew her still tell. Each clip is only a few seconds, but stacked together they tell the story of a little girl growing up. A smile at a birthday party, sprinting across the living room, laughing with Bella, exploring the backyard. That's what people hold on to. After everything happened, relatives spoke publicly about the girls they'd lost. Certain words came again and again about CeCe: energetic, fearless, funny, affectionate, always moving, always curious. People who spent real time with her say she approached everything with enthusiasm, which lines up perfectly with what shows up in the home videos. Most families film everyday moments without ever imagining anyone outside the house will see them. Kids laughing, singing, dancing, tearing into birthday presents. Normal stuff that quietly turns into something precious. Years later, these clips preserve more than just how someone looked. They hold on to voices, expressions, tiny habits, the exact way somebody smiled or laughed. For a lot of people following this case, these videos are what pulled attention away from the headlines and back toward the kids themselves. When people talk about big true crime cases, the conversation tends to center on the investigation, the evidence, the trial. Those things matter, but they're only one piece. Behind every case is a real person whose whole life stretched way beyond whatever made headlines. CeCe's story didn't start with a headline. It started with a family getting ready for a new baby, and it continued through birthdays, holidays, trips, and ordinary childhood. Holding on to that bigger picture is what keeps her a person instead of just a victim.
Millions of people have learned about this case through documentaries, books, podcasts, and news coverage. And a lot of them say what stuck with them wasn't the investigation. It was watching Bella and CeCe in ordinary home videos, just being kids. Plenty of parents said they hugged their own kids a little tighter after learning this story. Others said it made them think about how fast childhood actually goes. Everyone processes it differently, but a lot of people walk away thinking not just about the tragedy, but about how much the small, ordinary moments actually matter. Whenever a child's story becomes part of public conversation, that comes with real responsibility. Facts should stay accurate. Speculation should stay out of it. Private moments deserve to be treated carefully. For CeCe, that means sticking to what's actually verified, remembering who she was as a person, and not filling in the gaps with rumors. It also means remembering that the people she left behind are still living with this every single day. Every kid's life leaves a mark, no matter how short it was. CeCe's story is basically a reminder of how much the little stuff matters. Family dinners, birthday candles, summer afternoons, siblings cracking each other up. Photos that look completely ordinary today can turn priceless overnight. One of the biggest lessons people take from her story is simple. Slow down enough to actually notice the everyday moments while they're happening. If you'd met CeCe at a park or at a random birthday party, you wouldn't have known a single thing about what was coming. You'd just have seen a lively little kid enjoying being a kid. That matters, because before the world ever knew her name, her family already knew her as a daughter who was loved, a little sister who shared every adventure with Bella, a granddaughter whose visits meant the world, a kid whose laugh filled up ordinary rooms. Those are the memories worth holding on to. Picture an ordinary afternoon in 2017 or 2018. Nothing unusual. CeCe running from room to room, laughing with Bella, asking 100 questions, playing with her favorite toys. Like millions of kids everywhere, her days followed a simple loop. Wake up, get dressed, eat, play, learn, spend time with family, rest, repeat. Simple as that sounds, it's literally what childhood is built from. Looking back, it's these unremarkable moments, not the big ones, that end up mattering the most. One thing keeps showing up across every photo and clip: pure energy. CeCe rarely sat still for long. She explored constantly. She laughed easily. She moved through the world with total confidence. People who watched Shanann's videos noticed it immediately. Her expressions were big, her reactions were completely genuine, and her excitement was contagious. Every kid has their own personality, and this is exactly why the people who loved her described her as fearless, playful, and affectionate. Because they were so close in age, Bella and CeCe hit a lot of milestones together, learning from each other, sharing birthdays, holidays, vacations, everyday routines. Sometimes Bella led, sometimes CeCe scrambled to keep up. Watching siblings grow up together is one of the real joys of family life, and these home videos capture it in a way words never quite manage. A shared laugh, a playful chase, a dance in the living room. Those interactions are some of the strongest memories from their childhood. Photography freezes time in a way nothing else can. A single picture only captures a fraction of a second, and yet years later it can bring the whole memory rushing back. For CeCe's family, there are photos covering nearly every stage of her short life. Newborn pictures, first birthdays, holiday gatherings, summer trips, family portraits, ordinary playtime at home. Every image reflects not just what she looked like, but the love wrapped around that moment. No single photo tells the whole story, but together they form a visual record that keeps her memory alive. After August 2018, millions of people learned CeCe's name for the worst possible reason. But over time, plenty of people who followed the case found themselves drawn to the home videos, not the headlines. Those clips said something important. Behind every big news story are real people whose lives can't be reduced to a single event. For CeCe, those recordings show a little girl figuring out the world one ordinary day at a time, which is exactly why she deserves to be remembered as a kid who lived, laughed, and loved, not only as a victim. True crime content tends to zero in on investigations and courtroom drama. That stuff matters, sure, but treating victims with actual compassion matters just as much. Kids deserve to be remembered with dignity. Their lives shouldn't ever get treated as a footnote to how they died. Focusing on CeCe's actual childhood is a way of acknowledging that every birthday, every family outing, every ordinary afternoon genuinely mattered. Those moments were her life, and they deserve to be handled with care. CeCe only lived 3 years, but her story still makes people stop and think. Plenty of parents have said it reminded them to spend more time with their own kids. Others talk about taking more photos, starting new family traditions, or actually noticing the routines that used to feel unremarkable. Everyone takes something different from it, but there's a common thread: recognizing just how precious time with the people you love actually is. Maybe that's the most lasting thing CeCe's story leaves behind. Not fear, not headlines, but genuine gratitude for the ordinary moments that go by way too fast. Throughout this story, we've walked through the brief but meaningful life of Celeste/CeCe Watts, born September 17, 2015. Grew up right alongside her big sister Bella. Celebrated birthdays, holidays, and family traditions, laughed, played, explored, and lived every ordinary joy of early childhood. Those simple moments are the actual foundation of her story. It's easy to remember a big case by its dates, headlines, and courtroom moments, but those details can end up overshadowing the real people at the center of it all. For CeCe, remembering her means remembering a little girl whose whole world revolved around family, play, curiosity, and the thrill of discovering something new every single day. Every child's life has value, no matter how brief. Taking the time to remember kids for who they actually were is a way of honoring their humanity. CeCe's story is a reminder that childhood is built from thousands of small moments: a birthday cake, a favorite toy, a game with a sibling, a hug from a parent, a family photo. On their own, these look ordinary. Together, they add up to an entire life. For a lot of viewers, that's the biggest takeaway from CeCe's story. It's usually the ordinary days we end up treasuring most. When you're talking about real kids who can't speak for themselves anymore, accuracy and compassion aren't optional. Throughout this story, the focus has stayed on what's publicly documented, not rumors, not speculation. There are still plenty of unanswered questions around the broader case, but this hasn't been about chasing those. It's been about remembering a child with dignity. That distinction matters. It's a reminder that every victim was a person first, with a life that deserves to be remembered on its own terms. Think of CeCe's story as a family photo album come to life. A newborn sleeping peacefully, a toddler taking her first wobbly steps, a little girl cracking up next to her sister, holiday mornings full of excitement, summer afternoons outside, birthday candles glowing right before they get blown out. These moments, held onto in photographs and home videos, preserve something words alone just can't capture. For the people who loved her, they're deeply personal reminders of the joy she brought into their lives. Time changes a lot of things. Kids grow up, families change, seasons come and go. But love for the people we've lost doesn't just disappear. For the people who remember CeCe, what actually sticks isn't a headline. It's the image of an energetic kid sprinting across a room, a bright smile, a playful laugh, the bond she shared with her sister, the happiness in so many ordinary moments. Those memories speak louder than any headline ever could.